On the morning of November 9th, Max Mongrello heads to what he believes to be a solid funnel in the middle of a large block of unpressured ground.
Good morning on November the 9th. At this point, I feel like all the days are running together. We have been hard at it, and I've had a lot of really good encounters. A couple of them you saw, and then a couple of them even in the last 2 days. So, with that being said, Grant and I are in a new spot yet again. This is a farm that we hunted only maybe twice so far. Once on the very north side on a big alfalfa field early season, and then once down in this bottom somewhere. Grant and I just kind of went in one morning and we were winging it in the dark, and we found this little spot after we got down. We did a little bit of a speed scout after we got down, and if you want to talk about in the middle of a chunk in just a prime cruising funnel spot, this is it. We've got a zillion trails that come together down this bottom. Big block, probably a couple hundred acres of timber north, couple hundred acres south, and we're just right here in the middle of it. Like I said, a bunch of trails come in here. We do have a camera in here, but we have not been getting many pictures at all, and we thought that was a little suspicious. And sure enough, as we're getting set up, we had 2 bucks so far come in and work through this little bottom, and no pictures of them. So that just goes to show you can't really hunt trail cameras. I get in a bad habit a lot of times getting my confidence from cameras, and I shouldn't do that. So hopefully this morning we got a little surprise buck rolling through here, but hopefully we see some deer. Is that a shooter? Dude, I don't know. I think he's young. I can't tell. Dude, he might be. He's gonna come right in here, dude. I gotta make a call. Was my good luck charm, but that's not true, so we're gonna try the real deal. Alright, well, it's just a little after 10 o'clock here. Grant and I have some work we need to tend to before we make it out for the afternoon hunt. Beautiful morning in here, and really a great hunt, although we didn't see any deer that I wanted to shoot. We passed that 3 or 4 year old and saw, I don't know, half a dozen bucks or so. So it was a great morning. Definitely, we're on the X right here in this tree. So although we're doing a hanging hunt, we'll definitely keep this one marked and be back here hopefully at some point. With that being said, the farm that Grant and I have been hunting the last 2 days straight. We decided to give a break to this morning. We just thought we kind of boogered it up over the course of the last 48 hours, and sure enough, the deer we've been after is there at 8:15 this morning. So I guess that's the benefit to cell cams, but also the torture. So we're gonna go back in there this afternoon, and we should have the wind for it this afternoon and in the morning. So we'll get in there hopefully pretty quiet. We've already got a stand hung in there, sit it, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's a giant, and it's just one of those deer you gotta hunt, and the hunting's good right now. And we know he's not with the doe right now, so we gotta be in there. So we'll catch up with you guys here this afternoon.
40 miles to the north, Mike Reed is making the familiar march to the turnip plot where he hopes to find his target buck, Chubbs.
All right, we are set up for the afternoon hunt. We have moved a whopping 50 yards. I decided that this is a good spot to run into Chubbs with this wind. We still have a northeast, but it's getting more east in it, and quite a few deer came down this lane last night when we had a really light west and then switching to north. So we just hopped across from that shagbark hickory to this one, and now we can overlook this really thick bedding area behind us, and we can see all the way down to that bottom plot where we've been seeing him and we've been getting pictures of him. Actually, the last time we saw him, he walked through the back of the plot and worked his way into this draw. I'm not sure where he went after that, but there's a bunch of deer trails back in here. Hopefully he shows up.
As Mike waits patiently for his plan to come together, Max is heading back out for the afternoon hunt after clearing up some midday business.
Do I need to kill this deer?
Yeah, it's great for sure.
Oh, he's gnarly. I don't know, dude.
Let's see what he does. If not, I think he can throw out a few crowns.
He's right here.
He's looking. He's walking off.
Well, not very often for an afternoon hunt do you start your interview after a good encounter. So, with that being said, Grant and I had just got set up. This is somewhat of a permanent set that we left in this tree after Grant killed, knowing that it's a good spot, so only had to bring in one stand. So we were pretty quiet and pretty quick getting set up. And I'm very thankful for that, because after we just got all the camera gear finalized and I knocked an arrow, Grant looked up and there was a buck cutting across this cut bean field. And there's a deer that we have been waiting to see. It's a deer we are calling Grandpa, because if you look at, you look at him, but you look at the trail cam videos and pictures that we got, he just looks like a tank and he looks old. He's kind of all gritty. He's just a wicked deer, and I've been on the fence if I'm gonna shoot him or not, just because I don't know. It's just kind of scrubby, but I tell you, after looking at him in person, he's got some serious mass and inside point. He's almost got a bladed beam, and I think if he would have came in here and gave me a really good shot, 20 to 30 yard shot, I was gonna take him. So that's exciting. Encounter already, and we just got in. So there's a little buck out in front of us already. And we're excited to see what the afternoon holds. We've got northeast winds, what we need for the stand. We got it tonight and tomorrow morning before the rain comes midday. So we're gonna be in here and leave everything. If we don't do it tonight, ease out and get right back in the morning. But hopefully it doesn't take that long.
"40 miles to the north, Mike Reed is entering the final hour of his evening hunt, still anticipating the appearance of the giant buck.
We're down to our last 20 minutes. It's cooled off nicely, and we had a little uptick in movement here the last hour. Had a couple young bucks cruising and young bucks chasing does around through this plot, and then I can see 3 or 4 deer running around down in the bottom plot. None of them look like very big bucks. I certainly don't see anything that looks like chubs. But anyway, if we see anything good here the last 20 minutes, we'll show it to you. Otherwise, I'm going to strategize for the morning. We've got a straight east wind, so I have to think about where I want to set up. But try to cut Chubs off somewhere. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
On the morning of November 10th, Zach Larson is getting into the tree, looking forward to seeing his target, a giant Iowa 10-pointer.
Today is November 10th. Today's kind of unorthodox, as we realized it was a southeast wind today. It's pretty much the only time we can come in and hunt this sticker 10 buck. When we realized that the rain was going to hold off, we quick slipped in here and hung a set here. We're actually hung on a telephone pole, so we're kind of in the wide open. But I think this is our only chance at getting this deer. It's about the only one we can hunt it with. Last night he was on the camera right here 15 yards in front of the tree and at 4:30. Who knows, with any luck he might come strolling by looking for one of these does. Looked like he might have been on the search last night, and I know the cedar bedding is full of does. Fingers crossed. Well guys, I am devastated. That is the biggest deer I have ever seen in person on foot. Ever. Let alone have him 30 yards in front of me and I can't shoot. It's devastating. We came in here earlier and trimmed a few lanes for the trail that he's been using for the last few weeks. And once you know it, the one time we come in here and hunt it, he takes a different trail that we do not have lanes for. It's a gut-wrenching feeling. Going forward, all we can do is come up with a different plan and keep on this deer. He's pretty regular to this area, and it seems he's pretty regular in daylight, so I'm not giving up just yet. I think what we're gonna do is try and slip out of here. He went up into the bedding. We know he's probably not gonna come down here in the last few minutes, so before we ruin our camera gear, we're gonna slip out of here. And I plan on being back here in the morning. We'll try it again.
After coming up empty many times, Mike Reed decides to head into a brand new location on the morning of November 10th, hoping to intercept Chubs while cruising through the center of the farm.
Here comes the buck. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. You see anything?
night, man. He came through the creek. Right there, right there, right there. Look, he's right. He's right there. He's standing there. Dude, he's going down right there, buddy.
Mike.
He is down right there, buddy. He is down.
Mike.
He is down.
Oh my god, dude. It has been such a good...
He is down.
Oh my god.
He is down. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, Mike.
I was hoping, you could barely see just his rack.
Just saw his rack right there. Like, I didn't see him until it was right here.
I saw him go down the creek. He popped up under there. And then he just circled back. And I was like, well, he can't see right here. Let me tease him a little bit.
He come right there.
You could hear him grunting. And thankfully, I've got 4 feet of opening right here.
Good, and then like...
I had to lean out this little shagbark branch, quartering away, slipped him in there. Dude, I cannot believe that worked. I cannot believe it worked. It is November 10th, and I've been stewing all night about where to hunt this morning on this east wind. We hunted on this ridgetop the last couple days, and I'm like, he's got to be crossing through here, and there's only one spot that he can sneak through that we basically can't see him. We had pictures of him yesterday morning down on that clover plot. This is like right where we park. The house is like right above the clover plot. We walked through that clover plot to come hunt all this great habitat. And it's been multiple mornings I get his picture right there at daylight. So this morning I said I was either going to go back in the bowl where I think he was just now heading behind that bottom plot, or I was going to come try to cut him off right here. This is a tough place to hunt because I've got him on that beanfield edge sometimes. And over here, it's like, do you try to hunt it on a west wind blowing it back over that way, or do you try to blow it this way? So anyway, we came in with this east wind, and we had a doe come under us at daylight, before daylight, then a little buck, and look down at the clover plot right here, and I see a doe run across, and I can see him in the cut beans. Or I thought it was him. I actually couldn't tell. I could just tell it's a mature buck, and I thought, that's got to be him. And they circle around, and they get in this grassy patch, and then they go into the standing beans where Bella shot her buck. And I thought, they're going to keep moving that way. Hopefully that doe's not in heat, and he breaks off and comes back through here, because I know he goes back through here to get to the bull. And sure enough, I see him start coming back. I had grunted a couple times. I had bleated. I'm not sure if you could hear it down there, but he got in this grassy opening, got in the creek, and I was hoping he would follow that doe's trail. Man, I'm still shaking, but I was hoping he'd follow that doe's trail right here under the stand. Unfortunately, he got in this thick stuff, and there's kind of a grassy lane that goes up right here. I'm not kidding, all I could see was his rack. Like, every 10 yards I could see the top of his rack. It's so thick. I was hanging the stand this morning saying, I'm not sure we're going to be able to shoot out of this tree, but hopefully we can gather intel, see where he's walking. When I saw that he wasn't going to take this trail, he got in that thick stuff. I threw a snort wheeze out back behind us, and he stopped for a second, then he kept going, and I could hear him grunting. So when he got over here, I doe bleated again, and then I just grunted. I mean, he's 40 yards away. It's pretty risky calling to a deer that close, but I know that if he goes over the hill there, I'm not going to get a shot. So I did a few soft grunts back behind us, and he started grunting right back, turned, and he got in this little opening right here. I had one little opening back behind us. And he started to trot through it. I stopped him on the edge of it, had to kind of lean out, and quartering away, tucked it up in there. I think he ran 40 yards, stopped, didn't know what happened. He did a great mule kick, and then he just fell over right there on camera. The quest is over. That's encounter number 4. Man, it just feels so good. There's not many bucks that I've chased that hard that gave me fits like that. And to pull it off, boy, it feels good. November 10th. Yeah, this is where he was. Impact. God, that's sweet. He is literally in the exact spot where the 6x5 shed was. It was literally right there. That was the last shed we picked up that day. Holy moly. Yeah, what a beast. That is so crazy. Nice job, buddy.
Awesome experience, Mike.
Well, it's hard to believe I'm sitting behind this deer. It's starting to feel like it was never going to happen. And then this morning it all came together. It's been quite an emotional roller coaster chasing after him. Frustrating in a way, really. And that's very common when you're targeting a specific buck. But Jared and I was talking, we talked almost every day these last few weeks, and it's like, got daylight pictures of him again, but we weren't seeing him. You know, and today marked the 4th encounter with him, but it felt like we should have had 20 encounters with him by now, with how active he's been, particularly in these last 2 weeks. You know, if you guys have been following along, I've been watching this deer since July, and I actually got a picture of him, I believe it was May, and it was just his bases, and I could see the splits and the brows. I was like, ooh, that's gonna be a good deer. And it was right there down in the creek bottom where I got pictures of him the first half of the year. It was interesting because he was clearly not the most dominant deer on the farm. And in the summer, he was in that alfalfa field all the way to the west. That's probably a half a mile away from here, maybe not quite that much. Very active on a set of cameras there. We filmed him 3 different times in velvet. Really got to watch him grow. And I was thinking, if he stays on the farm for the fall, that I was going to be catching up with him at the cherry tree or somewhere around that alfalfa. And we were hunting him a lot over there. And then we encountered him that night where he was bedded on that knob off the backside of that bean field. And that was one of the 2 areas I thought he was primarily bedding. And that's the night that the 6x5 came in and beat up on him. And the 6x5 had just showed up the week before on camera. And it was interesting, he's a year older and a much more dominant deer. They broke out into a fight, and then Chubbs was no longer over there. He shifted over here a few hundred yards and started popping up on 2 or 3 cameras over here, and he was very consistent. The same few cameras over and over and over. And I had to re-strategize and think, well, I'm gonna move over there. So we hung this set in the skybox, and I started really getting him down on this food plot. You know, you guys saw that encounter where he actually came under the cherry tree from the west, and then our wind was a little squirrely that night, and he got out of there. Later that evening, I got trail camera pictures, and he had come out of that food plot earlier in the day at like 1:15 and walked under that stand, and then at 4:40, he was just coming back. I said, you know, I'm gonna stick with hunting this food plot in this area. This is where he's most consistent. And then the next time we saw him, which was just a few nights ago, he skirted out the back of the plot, and I look over on the hillside, and there was Big Mac with the doe, and I think Big Mac pushed him out of there. And so it was interesting, you know, I'd call at him and he wouldn't really respond, and he was always seeming to try to sneak away and get out of there. And then he shifted further over to the east. And so, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of folks about this dominance pattern and how it's affecting my ability to hunt him. And it's not like he left the county, but he was just shifting over. I never had him on cameras over here on the east side of the farm all year. And the last week, all of a sudden, he just started popping up in that same bean field that Bella killed. and I'd get him back on this little bottom plot. And I said, well, somewhere he's crossing over this ridge somewhere. I've been contemplating how to hunt this tree line because this is a really thick little area. They used to run cattle up here, previous owner. And so there's a lot of thick understory. And I had noticed certain trails during shed season, real heavy trail walking up this tree line and then one along the creek. And so with this east wind, just decided to slip down in there. And it's just surreal. It's so awesome. And I couldn't be happier. The real key to success though is the cutting back cameras. And I talked about it a lot last year with Turkey Foot. I'm just real busy all the time with the 5 kids and work, and my wife's busy at work, and you know that you can't understate how those cameras can help make you more efficient and help hone in on where you need to be. And probably more importantly than anything else in this case is just keeping your head in the game and keeping positive and like feeling like, you know, you're one step away. You know, had I not had pictures of him, I mean, I would have felt like he wasn't here. I mean, we were sitting here, this is day 26, right? 29. I mean, we've been putting a lot of time in, and we have primarily hunted this farm. I mean, we've gone down the river bottom a few times when I just felt like I need a change in scenery. Am I hurting it? Hurting my chances of killing him? You know, and so we'd move and go make a few hunts down there. But we've primarily hunted this deer, and a lot of empty sits, a lot of slow sits, and you know, getting those photos of him, it really helps you stay positive and stay focused. And that's always kind of a mental game of targeting one specific deer. Moving forward, you know, I still have my another tag in my pocket, so we're gonna keep after him. I've got the 6x5 to target, and then got some great bucks down the river bottom farm. I mean, Dak's still around, Merino. We got that dagger buck on the 28-acre piece. The pressure's sort of off. I feel a sense of relief that I was able to catch up with Chubs, and we're gonna take a few days to relax and enjoy this, and then we'll be back after him this weekend. As always, we really appreciate you guys watching. We hope you enjoyed the show.
The farm Grant and I have been hunting the last 2 days straight. We decided to give a break. And sure enough, the deer we've been after is there at 8:15 this morning. So I guess that's the benefit to cell cams, but also the torture. Well, not very often for an afternoon hunt do you start your interview after a good encounter. And it's a deer that we have been waiting to see. It's a deer we are calling Grandpa.
Well guys, I am devastated. That is the biggest deer I have ever seen in person on foot. Ever.
An entire third of the month has passed already. Soon the first half will be gone, and before we know it, we will be standing on the threshold of December. Some of us begin to wonder if the tides will eventually turn, or is this the year we come up empty? Max Mongrello continues to bounce around, hoping to spread the pressure and keep his best farm fresh. Zach Larson is in a similar position, playing things careful. And after nearly 20 sits and 4 encounters, Mike Reed finally caught up with Chubbs. Patience paid off, and the home farm monster no longer haunts Mike's dreams. Tomorrow we will wake again to the cool air and the brisk wind that is so much a trademark of this great month. After inhaling deeply, we let out a sigh. Yes, we are still chasing November.